The dark side of American prep basketball. All right, let's get into it.
In 2017, a group of teenage basketball players arrived from all across the world to what they thought was their ticket.
Is it gonna be like that one football team where there was like a bunch of 30-year-olds playing against high schoolers and they still sucked? Or is this gonna be like a scam? Because I'm actually interested in what it is. Because for some reason, it's always high school kids. They're getting taken advantage of. Not in that way, but one thing you gotta know is if it's too good to be true, then it's probably too good to be true. You gotta like trust your instincts at a certain point.
To college stardom. It was a newly founded prep academy promising elite coaching and unlimited national exposure to college scouts. But once they got there, they found themselves living out of a converted garage and without sufficient food or hot water. Dreams were shattered.
Hell no, bro. They were living in a garage at an academy they probably paid thousands of dollars for, or hundreds of dollars. I'm assuming it's not free, thinking their dreams are, I'm gonna go to the NBA, go to this academy. Whole time they're living in the garage, bro. I promise you, Kyrie Irving did not go here. He played with basketballs and trash bags on it. If he could do it, you could do it too. You don't need these academies, bro. People fall for these sales tactics way too often. You don't need all these bought things. Life is not pay to win. Life is work to win most of the time.
Shattered families' life savings were gone, and some even found themselves arrested and behind bars. Sadly, this wasn't an isolated event. This is the dark side of American prep basketball, where the pursuit of athletic excellence has opened the door to broken promises, corruption, and straight up fraud. Now, prep academies weren't always like this. Schools like Montverde or Oak Hill Academy have been around for 100 years. During that time, they built their reputations first as prestigious academic institutions.
I always wondered what a prep academy is, because I see sometimes like athletes go to a prep academy instead of high school, and I don't know if they're going to college, and do they even get into an education? Is it just a training facility like IMG? Is that an actual school, or is it just for people to play sports and, you know, be dominant? It's all confusing to me.
Naturally, over decades and with access to funding, they developed elite athletic programs to go with it. And this produced NBA stars like D'Angelo Russell, Carmelo Anthony, and Kevin Durant. These schools became the gold standard, offering proper facilities, elite coaching, a well-rounded education, and...
But what makes these prep schools different than a normal high school? Why don't they just give these fundings to their public high school, their private high school, or are these private high schools? Because there would be no need for prep academies if you just gave this funding to every private school or every public school, and they could just build up their athletic program and everybody would want to go there.
Legitimate access to college recruitment. Of course, all of this at a price, sometimes upwards of $60,000 a year. But around
It's because they're private institutions funded by the parents of rich kids who play basketball. Okay, I got it.
2000, everything started to change. The rise of the internet and social media meant that high school players could become overnight sensations by one viral clip. And with that trend, basketball was becoming increasingly global, and the competition for these Division I scholarships was skyrocketing. On top,
I think the blow up of social media and the crazy use and like advantage of it is a reason why people should not go to these prep academies. They should go to their public high school, drop 60 points on their high school leagues teams, post those on a social media, blow up for being good. Even if they're at a bad school, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. You could go play AAU, you could do anything. You could be great no matter where you are because of how much attention we could put on the internet from videos, clips, whatever. It's actually so easy nowadays to be successful if you're at like the top 1% of what you do. Because if you're at the top 1% of what you do, all you have to do is upload a clip. And it can't be that hard just to get a little phone, little Instagram app.
That due to the NBA's recruiting cycle being mostly in the spring and summer, more and more attention was being placed on these summer basketball tournaments like AAU. College basketball recruiters were finding their guys at these AAU summer tournaments, making the traditional high school basketball season less and less relevant and more for just following up with guys you already knew about. This caused players and families to look for other avenues outside of high school to get more exposure to college recruiting. Then in 2006, the popularity of basketball academies really began to take off with the formation of Finley Prep and Henderson.
If you want exposure to college coaches or whatever, you have to be extremely good at what you do, bro. I knew I was never going to be a pro in basketball, and I'm pretty bad at basketball, but I knew that, and I knew I was never going to go D1 because I'm not good. I never trained hard. If you don't train hard every day, if you don't work hard, if you're not the best in your state, if you're not the best in your county, how do you expect a college to want to recruit you? Even at a point of no social media, if you're that good, your name's going to go around, even if social media didn't exist.
Nevada. Founded by automotive millionaire Cliff Finley, it made no qualms about the fact that this school was solely for developing elite basketball talent.
We have one team, that's it.
It's nothing like any school you've ever been to.
Cliff recruited the best players from all across the country and bought a house for them all to live under one roof. The education part of the school was secondary and was outsourced to a local private school, Henderson International. And technically the model worked. Findlay Prep won national championship after national championship and produced NBA stars like Avery Bradley, Kelly Oubre, and Tristan Thompson. So the framework for these basketball factories was set, but
So it started with a white guy housing a bunch of, tall, athletic men in his house, underage minors. It's a little bit weird, no?
not without skepticism.
The biggest storyline I'd say is that Findlay's not a real school. Our guys do what they want.
I thought it was going to be
Yeah, the biggest problem is that they're not getting an education. I mean, sure, they're going to be athletes. A lot of them go to the NBA, but how about the ones that don't? They're going to be dumb as rocks, not even knowing basic algebra or basic arithmetic, not even knowing who fucking Paul McCartney is. Nobody knows that, but you get my point.
like a huge campus.
The high school is just us.
Regardless, Findlay Prep's success sparked a gold rush. Dozens of similar academies started sprouting up all across the country, promising the same formula: exposure, elite coaching, and a fast track to Division I basketball. But unsurprisingly, this new and unregulated market created a hotbed for fraud.
There are a lot of fly-by-night programs that's not accredited that, can open up with a bag of money and say, hey, come here, an AAU program, and now let's go play a national schedule. So I get it.
Well, it's a pretty novel high school basketball concept. Shannon Forest Christian School will play host to something called the 22 Feet Basketball Academy, which their goal is to compete against the likes of Oak Hill Academy and other national powers and develop not only basketball players, but students in an area they found perfect.
In 2013, Mike Rawson founded a school by the name of 22 Feet Academy. It was going to follow the same model
Did he say Mike Ross? Isn't that a lawyer in the show Suits?
as Findlay Prep, housing all the players under one roof and outsourcing the education. And with Mike Rawson being from the UK originally and a former EuroLeague agent, his vision was to not only recruit domestic talent, but international as well. In no time at all, 22 Feet Academy was going to rival the likes of Montverde or IMG Academy with its elite coaching staff and facilities. However, it would only take a few short years for the facade to come crashing down. Rawson's vision quickly faded when bills for equipment and other necessities were going unpaid. The converted garage
Wow, look at these phenomenal facilities, exquisite, top-end facilities, a dirty bathroom, these weak-ass showers, cardboard walls. What is this, bro? This is like a prison, bro. This is like, bro, even Epstein was living better than this. Like, what is going on here? What kind of kid wants to live here? They got duped.
upwards of 10 players were living in at a time was becoming vermin infested, and these promised upgraded facilities were nowhere to be found. The situation only grew worse when the authorities discovered that Rawson
Bro, the owner was a EuroLeague star. I mean, he couldn't have gotten paid that much considering he's 60 years old is what it looks like. He probably started his business. He probably got like a cool 30 million in his career if he was actually that good. And now he went through his whole adult life, not really, he probably lost the money. So how is he going to have money to set up an entire new program for a school to become a powerhouse? You need millions and millions and millions of dollars. It was obvious it was going to be a scam, bro.
and his wife were running a visa fraud scheme. The consequences were devastating, including the arrest and deportation of Turkish player Mumin Tunk. The indictment stated that Rawson did not require regular school attendance, allowed students to take online courses in violation of their visas, and allowed them to transfer repeatedly without being properly sponsored on an updated Form I-20.
The Rawson duo was charged with defrauding the
How did that even work, bro? I feel like the school system is so like strict and stingy on who can transfer where, who could do what. Like, how did he even get away with this for months, days, weeks? How did this even get approved for anybody?
United States.
Nobody seemed to know all the other things that were going on underneath the surface. It seems to be the students that are the ones that are hurting right now.
Unfortunately, 22 Feet Academy isn't an anomaly. Across America, similar stories have been playing out. Unaccredited diploma mills churn out these fraudulent transcripts that often leave players ineligible to even play college basketball. Over and over again, we see these basketball factories closing without warning, leaving families without refunds and without many options. Even successful programs aren't immune. Even Findlay Prep had to close its doors back in 2019. The tragedy of the situation,
Bro, I'm not sure if there's really a dark side to this as much as there is to anything else. It's like a typical, if something works, somebody's going to jump on it, but they're not going to do the same thing and it's not going to work the same way. Like if you go to these accredited programs, these big names like Oak Hill, Montverde, Jesuit Academy, like all these, they're big for a reason because they're legit, they're real. If you go to a no-name school in the middle of North Dakota, Mississauga, or wherever that place is, you feel me? Like obviously it's going to be a scam, more likely to be a scam. You got to be aware. You got to have critical thinking abilities. It's like answering a phone from an Indian call center. You hear the accent and they're asking for your Netflix password. You give it to them. You give them your social security. You give them your credit card balance. And then you're like, wow, the dark side of, bro, you just got scammed because you fell for it. The obvious signs. There's obvious signs to what's real and what's not, what's true, what's fraud. You just got to understand. And I wouldn't blame the teenagers who want to be NBA players because, you know, at a certain point, they get deluded by this dream, a lot of them. So it's not really their fault. It's the parents' fault for not being hyper aware of what they're doing, what they're signing the kid up for, you know, looking into what they're actually trying to do.
It's not the 5-star recruits destined for the NBA that are suffering the most. It's the families that are betting everything on their child's dream. Parents draining savings accounts or taking out loans to pay tuition.
I know I'm supposed to feel bad for these parents, and obviously it's sad that they lose like money, their savings or whatever. But if you're betting your entire future on your kid being great when you don't even know if he's going to be successful, that's kind of insane, bro. It's like I would understand if your kid's 6'10" and he dominated like every basketball team he's been on. He's one of the best players in the state. Then I get putting your whole life savings into him because he will probably go to the NBA. He'll probably go to, you know, college football, get money for going there because they be paying college kids now. But if your kid's not good and you're expecting like almost send him to this school or this facility and he's going to become an NBA talent overnight, bro, no, it's ingrained in you. You either got it to be great. You either, you know, put that work in yourself. You've been putting in that work and you're consistent. You're great at what you do. You have the mind for it, or you don't. Like you can't just change somebody into something they're not. The only valid use of money I see parents do is, you know, when they know their kid is going to be successful or their kid has a mind for, you know, they know what they want to do, putting them in a private school or, you know, saving up money for their college tuition. But it's the same thing as sending your kid to Oregon University, out of state tuition, spending $300,000 on their, you know, 4 years, and then turns out their degree is a liberal arts degree in gender science. Like they're obviously not going to be successful with that degree. They're going to make like not that much money or not get a real job. So you really got to have critical thinking skills. And I think that's what the world lacks nowadays.
For that promised exposure to college scouts. Too often they're left with nothing but debt and disappointment, and sometimes for these international students, deportation. As competition for these college scholarships continues to intensify and international players increasingly vie for spots at American universities, the pressure on these young athletes and their families just continues to grow. And while there are still legitimate prep academies that continue to develop their talent the right way, the industry's dark side persists. It's all a caution.
This kind of reminds me of like that one ninja how to become a streamer or how to become a YouTuber academy that people were signing up for, which is, I think it was just basic tips. Like it wasn't even anything special. That's something else too, bro. With social media nowadays, you could be great in anything you want. You don't really need any type of academy or teaching or lessons. Yeah, bro, nowadays you don't even need to spend all this money to be successful. You could do it on your own. We have social media, we have the internet, you know, we have all these materials and resources all everywhere. You know, we could be great on our own. We don't need to spend all this money. And if you know you could be great, if you post it on social media, if you post it on the internet, on TikTok, YouTube, whatever, you're gonna get that recognition and clout, you know? So if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you want me to do. Give me a cookie. Bye.